jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports.
Good morning, everyone. Salute. WCS is back on the boulevard on this Tuesday. Deck. You already know what it is. Salute to y'all that's pulling up this morning, man. You know what I'm saying? We busy trucking through this week real nice. You know what I'm saying? We're making it through the week real nice. It's Tuesday already. You have about 2 or 3 more days. 2 or 3 more days, you know what I'm saying, for the weekend. N.O., what's good with it, fam? How you feeling? Salute to you. Deion Washington, Tuscaloosa's own in the building. I seen your clips, man, on the news. Prime time. You know what I'm saying? That's Deion out there freaking achieving new life goals, man. That's good shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? You don't drop weight and everything, up there running them hills, pushing pavement on the news. You know what I'm saying? Highlighting your you know, your accolades in life, being a leader in the community. You feel me? That's good stuff, man. I told you, I do be checking your shit out, man. Congratulations to you, man, for getting that recognition. You know what I mean? That's good stuff. That's real good stuff right there. Real good stuff. So shout out to everyone that's in the building, man. I'm still waiting for some more to get in here. This topic is definitely going to be, special like all the rest, but not so much, when it comes to what you expect. I did a caveat to Town Biz's live that he had with Bernie the Boxer. I really want to know where Bernie got that quote from that I'm using in my thumbnail. Was it his quote or somebody else's quote? I don't know. So I didn't want to tag him on it. And it's not his quote. If it is his quote, then I'll know next time I, use it. But they say a boxer isn't measured by the way he fights, but by the way he lives. Okay? And that is extremely profound at the end of the day when it comes to what we see a boxer go through. We only see a portion of what a boxer experiences, when they go through all this. We only see a little bit. We really don't get the opportunity unless you locked in with a gym to see the behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? To see them getting back. We don't even hear the conversations that lead up to them getting back in fight camp. You know what I'm saying? We don't hear what details are passed back and forth from their team to whoever they're making a deal with. You know what I'm saying? Where the fight is going to be. You know what I'm saying? What type of equipment, what gloves you're using. You know what I'm saying? How many weeks do you have to train for this fight? The conversation that's had between the team and the fighter. Once that's all taken care of and everybody is fairly compensated, so to speak, when it comes to the contractual agreements, just the conversation of saying, okay, where are we going to do this camp at? You know what I'm saying? Who are we going to get for sparring partners? You know what I'm saying? Going through that sparring session, the fight camp, going through the rigors of all that. You know what I'm saying? The pain, the sacrifice, the blood, sweat, and tears. Then the recovery period in between, you know, training sessions while you're in fight camp. It's just so much to talk about. You know, we don't have understanding about. And then you have to think about the fighters when they're not in training camp. They're taking care of their own lives. You know what I'm saying? They're in that quiet time. They just thinking about so much. They either, you know, looking at some film, or they just relaxing, talking to fam, or whatever they doing. They have areas in life where, you know, us from the outside, we'll never know what that is until it makes it out to the public. And I'm not saying everything that makes it out to the public about boxers are bad, right? Not all of it is bad. But when it comes to the media, the mainstream news media, they love putting out, you know, stories that gravitate attention. And whether that attention be domestic violence, that attention be, um, you know, we just seen with Adrian Broner how his interview was shut down because they felt like he was under the influence, allegedly, of something, and he wasn't answering questions the way he should. So they shut him down. That's usually what happened. You know, like, you know, this is making its rounds because they shut the video down. Like, they took it down, rather. They took it down. Why? If you took it down, I mean, most people say, well, you don't need to make rounds out here in the media and explain why you took it down. But yeah, they do, because people want to know. People say, well, you just could have took it down, let it be. Well, it was with AB. You know, he's coming off a fight with Hutchins, and people want to hear the video, want to know what's going on with AB, and somehow this guy, you know, was explaining the head of the, I guess, the podcast or whatever. He's explaining why he removed the video. He just felt like it wasn't a good look for AB. He was under the influence of some, potentially, allegedly, I don't know. He wasn't answering questions the right way. He was zoning off. It's bad, dog. It's bad. It's a bad look. And then you have the domestic violence part of when boxing, you know, are in the media, or, you know, boxers who have had incidents that was considered criminal. You know, we had Jermaine Taylor back in the day. Jermaine Taylor, man, bless him, man. You know, that was a fight I liked, man. He just made me be on the edge, because I always know he was gonna hit that wall with them Pacific fights. And I was like, damn, you know, I just hope he's able to push through it this time. I still remember how he used to wipe his feet, you know what I'm saying, over in the corner. And you know, I remember he having the incidents going on with his family, and they say he had a you know, alleged, you know, drug problem. And you know, it was just all bad. Like, he was in the media every time you turn around. You know, and then he had like an act of violence against one of his family members or something like that, where he had to get locked up, allegedly. You had the incident, you know, with several fighters. We seen Tank out there. Tank had his situations in the media. You had Billy Joe Saunders making a video on how to punch a woman, you know, by demonstrating on the bag and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? How to put hands and break down your woman. Um, you know, you had the incident that come up, like I always talk about, you know, Sergey Kovalov, his situation that came up with, you know, him, um, and what he had going on, his criminal shit. It's just a lot of stuff. And then also, you know, what we talk about is a recent, you know, Spence situation where his accident hit the airways and went viral. You know, Spence situation went viral. You know what I'm saying? Because he was a well-known name in boxing. And when they saw the car flip, it's nothing like dramatic footage, man. It's nothing like dramatic footage. And that's what we seen with Spence car flipping over. Shout to NO. He said, bro, I'm going on vacation for 10 days to Germany on Saturday. and I'm more excited to see Bud win 2 times than I am on vacation. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? For real. Hey, tell Germany I said what's up. That's my old stomping grounds over there, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, tell Germany I said what's up, man. I actually, enjoyed Germany a bit. A bit. Just a bit. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Al Money on deck in the building with the $2 super sticker that jump off the day, man. Thanks for the donation, my brother, on this Tuesday. It's much appreciated. Salute to you for pulling up. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Salute to you, brother. John Nori on deck. Salute WCS, another AM cook. Yes, man, we about to cook a little bit. The grease stay hot. So all you have to do is just put whatever you cooking in it. That's how it is over here at WCS, man. So we look at these fighters who done went through situations, and we seen the Spence situation play out in front of our eyes. And people can say what they want about it. They act like, I remember before he actually came on and admitted to everything, right? Because we already knew he had pleaded, and it allowed him not to serve any jail time or anything like that. He pleaded for DWI, and everything is just public record. But the wild part about it is that a lot of people who support this cat was just in denial, and every time it was brought up in the midst of speaking about Crawford Spence, they want to act like that particular area of concern could not be spoken on, and they absolutely can, because that situation is why certain people are optimistic about going in 100% with this fight on July 29th. Those being optimistic are the ones who are pro Spence fans, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? They're pro Spence fans who can't quite get it together. Now, if you look at my thumbnail, it's history behind that thumbnail, right? It's history, y'all. And it pretty much bleeds over, real talk. It bleeds over into this particular live, because I'm not highlighting Spence and what he's done in his lifetime just to highlight it or whatever. No, it's a lot deeper than that. It's a lot deeper in this live stream. That picture. Let me take this down with Al Money so y'all can see what I'm talking about. So this picture with Errol Spence that you see him, that I have with him looking directly in my lens, that was the last picture that I was able to take prior to Errol Spence having his accident. That was in the same year. That was the same year he had the accident that I took that picture. And I put him in this frame because the two side views that you see of Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence is from the presser this year in 2023. That picture that I took was in 2019. Okay, that was at 2019 at a top rank event. Like I told you, I was covering the top rank event, and you can go back and check for yourself. But that's when I was there to cover Teofimo Lopez. So that was a top rank event, and just so happened Spence and Derrick James was seen at Top Rank, a place where so many people criticized for being this, that, and the other, but those two black men was in the building for a Top Rank card. So I was able to get this picture of Spence, who looked directly into my lens. You know what I'm saying? Directly into my lens. And the whole thumbnail, the message that I put in the title is, if the old Spence, you know what I'm saying, it's the past Spence, can talk to the now Spence, what would he tell him? What would the past Spence that's in the picture tell the now Spence? Would he have any advice for him now? Being that Spence right there that I took a picture of was the Spence that can use the boogeyman, the Spence that had the hoopla and the hayla, the bragging rights over Floyd Mayweather and giving him work doing sparring. The one that was the body snatcher, you know what I'm saying? Strap season, the truth. They used to call him the truth back then. That was the Spence that looked in the camera. That Spence right there was a different type of guy. You're talking about um how long was that? About 4 years? About 4 years ago or whatever. The old Spence, but prior to the accident, strong Spence, big Spence that he used to brag about, you know, how much power he had, how tough he was, and everything. And one thing about me, I'm never gonna say, you know, Spence ain't tough. He's tough because you know he fights his fights tough. You know what I'm saying? He makes them tougher than what they should be. But that's the way he likes to go in there with the aggressive brawling. You know, some people call it the Blaxican style. You know what I'm saying? But he likes to go in there and brawl it out. But for the past Spence, you know, and hearing Bernie say what he said, I wanted to go through some quotes. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to know what would the older Spence tell the now Spence if he had any words of advice from him prior to getting into that situation, because the old Spence was that guy. The old Spence was that guy in the midst of what? Living a different way. He was living a different way that ultimately got him into a situation where a lot of people are affected heading to this July 29th fight. I'm no way, shape, or form speaking on this with malice. I'm speaking on this with enough self-education myself to provide you with an opinion. You know, I'm not sitting up here trying to lay down a law of facts, but I just want you to understand exactly where I'm going with this live. Muhammad Ali said, "You don't have to be in a boxing ring to be to be a great fighter. As long as you are true to yourself, you will succeed in your fight for that in which you believe." So being true to yourself is me saying this. This is me being true to myself, and I'm gonna put this from the old Spence to the now Spence. How do you be true to yourself? Is basically understanding where you at. Always, I always have stuck by a common denominator. Hold on for a second. I always stuck to a common understanding with myself, right? You know, if you're going to have religious faith and you're going to be righteous in these moments, you know, at least keep faith, man. You know, have faith in whoever you worship and whoever your supreme being is, right? But my understanding is this, like, if you're put in a situation where, you know, you're praying for something to happen, you're trying to go places and you've been praying, well, it's up to you to hold down that responsibility too. It's up to you to hold down that responsibility to make sure you do everything you're supposed to do to get there, right? Stand true to yourself, right? So you got to start working to get where you need to be. You have goals. You have goals to set, and you may not truly know how to get there, but you know you've been blessed to be above the average to above average. You've been blessed, right? So like I went into the military at 17. I can't tell you I knew everything about the military when I went in there. I mean, I struggled my first 4 years. You know what I'm saying? I went into boot camp, and you know, the drill instructors put hands on me. And I ain't gonna lie, I put hands on them too. Like I struggled in boot camp. Like, you know, I had these drill instructors yelling and spitting in my face and all that. And I was like, you know, you're not training me. It seemed like you trying to fight or something. Like I don't get it. But in life itself, I knew, okay, if I go back to the A, it ain't gonna be good. It's not gonna be a good thing. I really need to focus. When I look at Spence in that moment of what he was able to achieve by going to the Olympics, I'm just curious of, did he ever have self-reflection and have those conversations, those one-on-one self-reflections with himself and stay true You know what I'm saying? Did he ever stay true to himself to the point where he knew what the forecast was? He knew where he was trying to go. He knew what it was going to take to get there. But did he hold himself accountable to say, this what I don't need to do if I'm trying to get there? And this what I do. I need to accomplish this right here in order to get where I'm trying to be. Did Spence ever have that talk with himself? You know what I'm saying? Did he totally understand that it was requirements of him? It was requirements of all the effort that was put in his boxing career as an amateur for him to move up that ladder and get where he needed to be and be something special. When he went to the Olympics, I'm pretty sure it was some people in there that thought, he was going to fare quite well in the 2012 Olympics. I mean, that team had a lot of familiar faces on that team. Real talk, a lot of familiar faces on that team. And Spence, I can almost guarantee you the people that I've heard that was close to that situation, how they thought there was certain fighters, to include Spence, who was going to do very well in the Olympics. He did not. So putting the amateur career behind him, was it a failure? Was it a failure? Was he doing everything he was supposed to do? I don't know. I can't be selfish and say, well, he was probably not maximizing his entire potential back there as Olympian. I can't say that. That's selfish. And that's being extremely disingenuous, right? So he leaves the Olympics having not medaled, having not written his own chapter to be remembered as medaling in the Olympics for the U.S. But yet, the only partial bragging right that Spence has is to say, you know what, I was an Olympian. So he moves on to the professional ranks. This is where it's going to get a bit technical for a lot of you all, especially coming from a person like me. Whether you respect what I say or not, it's fine. Whether you respect what I'm saying or not, it's fine. But after everything that I've stayed close to and how I've been paddling this canoe, I'm saying, against the current, you learn a lot. You know what I'm saying? You learn a lot. Moving and grooving and going against the current. You learn a lot, especially on the YTC, bro. So when he went into professional boxing and he decided to, came in at the heavier weight and doing those several fights, he was trying to figure out what weight he was going to basically settle in to welterweight, because he followed the heavier weight during the amateurs. Now this is where things become uniquely familiar for some fighters. This is where it becomes a little bit selfish for me in speaking about it, because I'm thinking about all the people that was with him in the amateurs and was there to help pilot him from the amateurs through the amateurs, Olympics, to the professional ranks. Now you have people who totally is understanding of who you are, and they have thoughts, because not every fighter that's in the Olympics go to the professionals, right? To professional ranks. But Spence had every intention of going to the professional ranks. So he makes it to the professional ranks, and he's quite undecided on what weight he's gonna fight at. Now, this is where it becomes interesting of your environment. I don't know. I wasn't there to make judgment upon who was telling him, certain things, and who he actually listened to while those things was being told to him, and what information did he actually respect enough to keep close to him as far as each step he took in the professional ranks. Was it something special? Was it a motivational quote? Was there anybody there as a mentor to say, you know what, we can talk to him and keep him on the straight and narrow? That's all I'm saying. Let's get down to the guts, right? When this information starts to filter out, you know what I'm saying, about how good Spence was. I remember those days. I remember the days. People saying how good Spence was, man. It's no lie. A lot of people talking about how good Spence was, and I used to watch him back in the day too. And Spence used to have this style that was kind of goes against how the black fighters fought back then. The black fighters was known to hit and not get hit, to basically, be smooth with it. You know what I'm saying? Land the punches, swing without get wet, boom, boom, boom. Use their defense, slips, punches, and remain defensive accountable. That's what black fighters were somewhat known for. But if you look, Marvin Hagler kind of gave you that pressure style fighting. He did used to take punishment too. I'm just saying, they used to say brothers don't like to get hit. They don't like to bang. They like to just box, move, box. You know what I'm saying? Punch, hit, not get hit, move, slip, stay on their bicycle. You know what I'm saying? But there's plenty of fighters back in the day, you know what I'm saying, that took punishment, that was all about the pressure type style. And when Spence's name was floating around back then, people was like, hell yeah, Spence is the truth, man. Like, Spence is the boogeyman. He's going to do big things. Even with the talent that Spence had back then, right? There is the area in which this quote makes all the sense in the world. It said, but by the way you live. So me, just speaking about it now, my question was, as he was coming up and the entire support system that was around him, who was there to monitor how he was living? Because they had high hopes for this prospect coming up in the professional ranks. They had high hopes for this Olympian. There's a lot of people there that was saying that Spence was going to be the next big deal. He was definitely going to be world champion. Definitely. I remember people talking about, like, hey, you gotta pay attention. This guy, Errol Spence, man, he the real deal. He the real deal. And this is before Bud even came into the picture, right? He's the real deal. He's the real deal. But at that time, Spence was supposed to be contending in the welterweight division, right? It was some fluctuation in weight, super welterweight, whenever he was doing. You know what I'm saying? People saying, okay, we're trying to figure out what weight. So he was fighting fights, building up the resume. But yet he came in here with the intentions of fighting welterweight. So at that time, I speak of his support system and how he's living. He hasn't really accomplished nothing yet. So he's fighting. He's making a name for himself. But also you start to hear certain things about, him being in the streets, allegedly. So, if the news is coming out from whoever that's over there of him having fun and enjoying the nightlife, then he's not the first boxer to do it. Like the quote said, but by the way he lives, right? A boxer isn't measured by the way he fights, but by the way he lives. So all the time, we see boxers that's moving up through the ranks, climbing this ladder, and they have these people around them that has absolutely no influence on them, no control over them, and these boxers do what the hell they want to do. They have fun if they want to have fun. If they want to be in the house with the family, they be in the house with the family, relatives, friends, or whatever. Some of them listen. Some of them want to live a good lifestyle. They stay the fuck out of trouble. And some of them are just the opposite. They be out there in the streets. They be out there getting into things that make it to the news. I'm just saying, it's like that. Some fighters, they can still be in the streets, but it never makes it to the mainstream media because they know how to move. They know how to move. But in this particular case, I look at the time that Spence has taken in the welterweight division, right? And I look at everybody who knew him, even when he was coming up and even when Floyd news came out that he had gave Floyd the business and sparring. I mean, just to hear people say, oh man, that dude's the truth, man. He's it. He's the one. And it felt good to see a black fighter coming up and people was, putting their stamp of approval behind him because, he had this style that people wanted to see. And he wasn't, just up there doing the Ali shuffle on the outside, sweeping, hanging on the ropes, you know what I'm saying, throwing a punch here, punch there, just pop shotting his opponent, dancing and show. He got straight to business. You know what I'm saying? Spence got straight to business. He used to give you that forward, aggressive, present pressure type style with punch output that can, if according to who his opponent is, could break down his opponent, did break down his opponent. You know what I'm saying? One thing we do know about Spence, he's never been a one-quitter hitter. He just there cleaning guys' clock, wiping a timeout, and let the referee take over with the count. He just never been that dude, but he did have that aggression and that talent and those technical skills to fight at a high level, moving up the chain of command. So when the news came out about him potentially, having these situations, enjoying the nightlife, being a drinker and all that, people kind of, brush it to the side because it hasn't affected his career yet. When a person is going in there and performing, and like Spence said, he was able to get away with it. He felt that, he can at one point in time, he was going to the gym to keep him out of the things that was in the street. And then he just started being in the street. But when you get to a point where you're able to enjoy the nightlife, but it hasn't quite affected you yet, it hasn't intervened, it hasn't taken you into a situation where you don't have control of who's talking about it now, because it's in front of everybody that's tuned in to mainstream media when it deals with communication. Now there is an incident. If you can, no matter how many times this has went on with Spence enjoying his life or whatever, I get it. Nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's perfect. I was in the streets when I was young. It was just a whole lot of things I used to do that I said, when Spence felt like, okay, I wasn't really worrying about anything. I thought I was invincible. Well, I didn't think I was invincible. I just felt like what I was doing, it wasn't too much repercussion that goes along with it. I say, man, I'm good, man. I'm living life. I'm chilling, man. If I don't do it now, when can I do it? I'm getting older. I got to do this. Like when you're younger, your mindset, your barometer of immaturity is just so low. I mean, your barometer of maturity is extremely low when it comes to making decisions. You know what I'm saying? But when the news of Spence started to filter out and people started getting snippets of it, fans, they didn't really give a damn to like attach themselves to it, because it was more so like, I'm more interested in what he's doing in the ring. I'm more interested. That's what I'm interested in, what he's doing in the ring. And then, you say to us, I say to myself, I say, man, all those people that's around him, that's training, family, that's depending on him to go in here and succeed and make it to the highest level and make all this money and stuff like that. It's not a single quote. It's not a quote. It's not any type of advice. It's nothing that these people can say to change the mind and get that boxer to stay on the right track. Is it? It's nobody that's out there that can motivate you to see what the end game is. I see this a lot in training, teams and boxing teams. I see it a lot. And then, you'll have people that'll come up to you and talk to you about certain things and try to tell you weren't a boxer, so you wouldn't know. Well, I'll tell you like this, it's certain things that I can assess and make my opinion off of just based off the way we live life, family, friends, relatives, going around the world, having to deal with 20 years in the military, you learn a lot. So it's life lessons more so boxing lessons. You feel what I'm saying? Life lessons can teach you, help you pass the demarcation line of what I know from stepping into the ring versus what I know in life. Because goddamn it, the boxers that's in the ring, they have to go back to real life when they're not in the ring. They're not living in the ring. They're not fixing their dinner and lunch and breakfast in the ring. You know what I'm saying? The ring is what allowing them to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Being in the ring of their life, their whole entire life, they got to go back to reality, right? So when they count when Nate Jones brought that information out, I still remember when people was giving this man so much backlash, right? That he said, he don't too much, you know, he said to the extent he don't too much like Spence or whatever he said. I forgot what it was. I don't know if he said that. Don't quote me on it, but I remember him saying that he's a drinker or whatever, right? So many months went by, right? That no one really took that to heart. No one really started to say, okay, this is a problem. I like Spence. I want to support Spence, but they saying the man got a drinking problem. How he's so good as a boxer? What about his team? And ain't nobody on his team that can tell him. And this, and this, and that. So they was giving Nate so much backlash, and he ended up being absolutely right. It's how you live. So since the time that Nate said what he said, right? People picked and chose if they wanted to believe it or not, because nothing has really played out in the media to prove what Nate was saying was true. Then time ticked away. He continued to fight, continue to win, continue to fight, continue to win. He was doing his thing. He was doing his thing. He'd go over there, fight Kell Brook. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Went in that man backyard, picked up a strap. Went back. He's kind of on top of the world over there in Texas. You know what I'm saying? This is the world champion now. He's got to that pinnacle. This is what we was talking about in the Olympics, right? Right. People telling him this is what we was talking about. You're a world champion now. So he picks up the IBF strap. He's on top, man. He's one of the best in the welterweight division right now. Now everything starts to roll over. You know what I'm saying? All the cylinders begin to link up. Now they want to push forward. It's important. Every distance that he traveled now is to get better than where he at. So he picked up the IBF title. Now let's continue to win and pick up another title. This don't have anything to do with no easy route. I'm not going in detail. I'm talking about life. This man picks up the freaking IBF title. He's on top of the world. People loving him. More people have came, in close to say, yeah, this guy they call the truth. Because back then it was the truth. You didn't have line them up and man down and the big fish, all this shit. They call him the truth because a lot of people felt that as a boxer, he was the truth when he stepped in the ring. He was giving you the truth. He's the truth, y'all. And he can fight, man. That's the truth right there. He can fight, man. Dude is tough as hell. He come forward. He got a very exciting, impactful style. He's the truth. So he started getting to a point where, he defends his title. He gets in there. I mean, it comes into the news, the boxing news, that he's fighting four-weight champion. We don't really know why he's fighting four-weight champion Mike Garcia. Mike Garcia is a big name. He goes in there and wins the decision on Mikey Garcia. At this point in time, the whole objective is to get him another belt, because now he is planned. He has this manifesto to become welterweight undisputed. So a welterweight undisputed, you have to do what? That fighter, the truth, he has to maintain that truth within himself to continue to stay dedicated, stay locked in to get where he needs to be for undisputed. He needs to. That's what I would think they would be telling him around. Everybody around his team will be telling Spence, this is what you need to do. Stay focused, like you always hear him talk about now. But see the old Spence is telling the new Spence that. The now Spence. The old Spence is telling the now Spence that. You know what I'm saying? The old Spence is on the outside looking in, because there's no way that the now Spence is ever going to be like him, his older self. He's never going to be that guy again. Period. He's never going to be him. It has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with age. I'm pretty sure the now Spence have conversations about the old Spence. He does, because he know there were things that the old Spence used to do with ease that he took for granted. See, they may have reflection on one another, but see, the now Spence understands there are moments when it's just him thinking about certain things, just like, he just thinks about the old Spence a lot, on how the old Spence was the truth and how he went in there and fought, and certain areas of the fight he can get away with. He can halfway train to go in there and still beat the opponents. We're not sure if the now Spence is where he needs to be. So being he had this manifesto become undisputed, I mean, that's a huge manifesto. And he has to start collecting titles. In the process of him winning the IBF and moving to the WBC, Sean Porter would be that guy that everybody was talking about, because due to good business, you know how they say Top Rank had good matchmaking, you know what I'm saying? PBC had good matchmaking, especially for in-house fighters that was moving the truth. Errol Spence to the next title shot, which we was about to see Danny Garcia and Sean Porter play out for the vacant WBC. Everything is aligning itself for this guy. In the meanwhile, your life is people around you telling you, hey, look at that shit, man. You about to fight for the WBC, man. Damn, this is what we all dreamed about. You about to be unified champion. Nobody's gonna touch you now. And all along, they probably telling him, look at Keith Thurman. He nowhere in sight. You was calling him out. He didn't want to fight you. Look what happened. He fucked up. So they were saying, like, Keith Thurman's out of the picture. Now you the man. You the man of the vision. You the man. You know what I'm saying? You the man in the vision. Even Bud making entry, Errol Spence was still with them in their mindset. They was trying to get him those titles, and they were going to get him them titles. But they also knew other things that was going on, that it seemed like it was nobody with any type of mentorship, nobody with any type of respect that Errol Spence will look at and say, you know what, I respect you. I'm going to chill. I'm going to chill on that. I'm going to rethink some things. I got to stay on focus. I got to stay locked in on the destination, the end game. I got to stop fucking up, man. I'm just doing things that haven't really made it to the media yet. I got to lock it in and stay locked in. He goes in there and all that time, I'm telling you, before he stepped in there with Sean Porter, he was out there in the nightlife. It started to slowly but surely bleed over in front of the lens. The lens don't motherfucking lie. You start to see this man inebriated, drunken in public, and younger people, they'll look at it like, man, AW says, you had your time. That shit's come and gone, man. Stop hating on the youngins. And that's the whole point of just living life. Like, you go through certain things, right? So instead of people comparing the lifestyles, like, look what Errol Spence was able to accomplish and look what you've been able to accomplish. Well, I never tried to live or wanted to be in his lifestyle. That's what I would say, per se. I never tried to be his lifestyle. But as young, youthful adults, some of us, grew up different. Some of us have similarities on where we went out and grew up, and if we enjoyed the nightlife and went to the club, and some of us don't. But for a celebrity, so to speak, a fighter that is known to be out in public at boxing events and start to become noticed, now it becomes noticed that you have situations that are involving you in a bad light. It's involving you because people can sit there and obviously assume that you are intoxicated. And it's not like you was in a vehicle. You was on your feet. You was inside a facility. You was talking your shit. You was around your friends. You wasn't behind no vehicle. You wasn't in a predicament. You know what I'm saying? You was still living. You was young. You weren't in a predicament. You was doing what you wanted to do, but you was intoxicated enough to think that you started boxing in 2015. It's okay for somebody to look at you and say, "Man, so and so look fucked up over there," but you ain't bothering nobody. And then they say, "What's that saying?" It's something like, "It's better to be thought of as a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt." So it's better sometimes just to be silent and people don't know what's going on with you, even if you might be fucked up. May be intoxicated. You're just chilling. You enjoying yourself. Yeah, I had some shit to drink, and that shit on me like 6 gorillas. God damn it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, it happens. But then when you start to talk and you are a very popular face, and people look at you, they will always take that moment and use it against you. Okay, this is the moment we can take. He was intoxicated. And then another moment come out, and then another moment come out. All alone, it's not like you are fucked up and you about to head out to the boxing ring to try to fight for a title. No, you just enjoying yourself, your leisure. That's all. He enjoying it a little bit too much. But I always look at the people that was around him and why he didn't respect them enough to not place himself in that situation. So he gets the shot at Sean Porter. That's a huge fight for him. He's fighting for the coveted WBC welterweight world title. And like I said before, leading up to this fight, he had already had incidents where people have been saying that he was in the streets and, he was drinking and all that. Been saying that. It's public record. It's nothing WCS is talking about. I'm making up. So when he went in there and fought Sean Porter, it was noted also that he had to drop a tremendous amount of weight. And this is another thing for bragging rights. When it comes down to the folklores of these individuals that people look up to and say, "Oh man, they different. This motherfucker different, dog." It was rumor out there that he was weighing 185, that he was very high up in weight, and he was cutting weight down to these fights. And they always used to say he was a boogeyman. He a big 147 pounder. He big, just like they saying now. He a big 147 pounder, right? So he goes in there, he goes tit for tat. He all out war with Sean Porter. Very exciting fight. People was tuned in. Very exciting fight. He squeaks out a split decision. And we can sit back in hindsight and say, okay, why he squeak out a decision? If he wouldn't have been participating in those nightlife activities and drinking the way he was, could he went in there and have a more dominant performance with Sean Porter? This is where this fight right here with Sean Porter was extremely interesting. It was a turning point for Spence, real talk. It was extremely important because Sean Porter would be the last opponent that Spence would have in his career that people who saw him come up to the amateurs, that saw him come into the professionals, that saw him build up his his box rec and put those wins away. Sean Porter will forever be a part of, Errol Spence's life. Because when he won that WBC belt, that was an extreme high point. When you're talking about the summit, the championship pinnacle, somewhat the idolatry of boxing. You are unified champion. You are not one time, you're a 2-time world champion. Now, the world that you was on before, you even on a higher. The moment you was on, you thought you were standing on top of the world. Now you even elevated and higher stratosphere because you are a multi-time world champion. Now you're the WBC world champion. And then everybody was tuned into the fight, thought the fight was good. It was a great fight. Y'all entertained us back and forth action. Man, you entertained the hell out of us. So you brought another title home. Still, there's demons. You know what I'm saying? There's demons that says, you know what? I know how much weight I cut. I'm the man. I feel like I can cheat whatever I want to cheat and still go in there and fight fighters without being 100% locked in and to fight camp, knowing who I am. You know, I still went in there and got it done. I'm the shit. I can see where ego can take over. And it took over for Spence. Sean Porter would be the last time in your entire life that you would be the same person you was before you stepped in there and started to fight him. Sean Porter will be an epoch in your life. Sean Porter will always be etched in your life when it comes to your boxing career. Because a small time after that, about 12 days after that, you would have that moment that not only your life then, but it's going to impact your life July 29th. Not only did it impact your life then, it's going to impact your life July 29th. And why I put that up there in that manner, because so far I just been half stepping and giving you bits and pieces leading up to the point of Sean Porter. Because that fight right there, that fighter who went in there and fought Sean Porter no longer exists. You're not the 100% fighter that people looked at as being a big, strong, tough, you know, go in there in the heat of battle and get it in. It's a lot of people that's questioning, are you still built the same like that? And see, all of a sudden, it took for you having an accident, an horrific accident, and almost losing your life for people that maybe you didn't listen to prior to your accident. You might have not listened to these people, or you might have reduced the circle that you was in before and got rid of some people that was poorly influencing you to be in those situations. But one thing I can say about Spence, one thing I can say about you is that you came out and you took responsibility for being that guy who was hard-headed and continue to step out into the nightlife. Even when people was telling me and getting mad and talking about, oh, you just saying this and that and the other, and you hating. I'm not hating on anything that's public record. So if it's public record, I think the only one that's hating is the one who continued to mention, gripe, and complain that I speak on it. The reason that I'm speaking on it is that it truly has to do with the way you live. It had to do with the way you live so much that when you had the accident and you checked yourself out the hospital and you went back to trying to get yourself together in one piece, you still went out to the club. You still had the mentality that you want to be the old you. The old you, even though you was thinking like the old you, that guy was pretty much at that point in time a fragmented type of human being. I wouldn't say you're a shell of yourself. I wouldn't put you in that type of severity and that type of depth, but in so many ways you are a shell of yourself, because it was certain situations, and for me, the way I look at it, that you was able to fight some of these opponents and get hit the way you did, and neurologically your body was able to recover, and you was able to take the punch a lot better than you did back then, prior to the accident, right? And I always say, how you live, are those people able to convince you now? Are there individuals able to convince you now that you should be focused on family? You should be focused on the things that matter. You should be focused on getting to the WBO championship July 29th. Are you totally finally locked in that you won't have no moments that you're cheating yourself on how you living? Because I remember Crawford sending that tweet out, and he said, you know, they telling me what you got going on over there. That wasn't too long ago. That wasn't too long ago, Spence. And like I said, this is no disrespect, but Are you living better than you did prior to the accident that changed your life forever? Because look, for anyone and everyone who thinks this is not something that should be spoken on, why not talk about it? Because this is one of the biggest fights in boxing. We say we want Spence to be 100% going in there against Crawford. Why can't Crawford be praised for what he never put himself in when it comes to the situation that happened with Spence? Do we not praise the person who's doing what is right? Or are we so immersed in the evil of our ways in life that we want to praise and big up the person that took L's? You know what I'm saying? We don't supposed to praise the person that's not drinking and smoking and doing all that and living the nightlife when they supposed to be taking boxing as their primary occupation to collect the purse, to collect the bag. We don't supposed to praise him. We don't supposed to give plaudits. We don't supposed to put our hands together and say, hey, clap it up, clap it up. I appreciate you on how you live in a healthy lifestyle. We don't supposed to do that. Because if you're the one that's saying we don't supposed to do it, then you're the same one who's out here defending what Spence did to basically change his boxing career and his life forever. That's fucked up. You're a fucked up individual if you think that way. Seriously, you're an extremely fucked up individual if you felt like it's nothing that you see wrong. Let him live. Yeah, y'all got that DMX mentality. Oh man, let him live. He do what he do. He do what he do what he do. But what I've been hearing, and it's not just me, it's stuff that's public record, right? This finally a culminating moment with Crawford Spence has been a beautiful sunset, right? Because it's been stormy for quite some time. We had to fight through the storm of lies, truth, you know what I'm saying? Ulterior motives, agendas, vendettas. We had to fight through all that precipitation of people want to create and inject defamatory shit. You know, people who just want to talk negative about the wrong person. The wrong person. You know what I'm saying? There was too much of a coward. And when I mention coward, it's the people that's saying, I'm willing to teach my kids not to make the mistake that Spence did. But if I'm on the YTC, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell the quite opposite. I'm not really going to talk about what he did because that's not my place. But yet you'll go ahead and act like it's nothing. But yet you say you want to raise your kids up in the way that they should be, to be leaders, to be front runners, to be examples others want to emulate. Yeah, you tell your kids all that good shit. Oh man, my kid's going to college. They got a good head on their shoulder. It's a lot of influences in college. You know what I'm saying? Some of your kids went to college and they didn't quite make it because they got wrapped up in the nightlife. But when it comes to Spence, dude was blessed to be, to be a boxer, man. He's talented. But when Bernie put that out there, man, it hit home. It's like a boxer isn't measured by the way he fights, but by the way he lives is profound. When you think about it, it touches you different. You know what I'm saying? It should absorb in you. You should soak it in. You should catalog, route that information differently. That's information that you pass on to somebody else. Because there's so many people that have motivational quotes out here that people just really don't drive it home. Like what does that quote mean to, per se? What about this? What about this? What you're thinking is what you're becoming. What you're thinking is what you're becoming. You always got to have a one-on-one conversation with yourself, especially if it deals with it with situations that demand you to physically insert yourself to get ahead, to somewhat earn promotions. Boxing is the hurt business. People just look at that four-letter word and say, "Oh man, that's cute." Hurt. We have different pain thresholds of things that hurt us. Boxing, you have to get hurt even when you're training to go in there for the big fight. You have to go through moments of getting hurt to better yourself. How does that work? I'm tearing myself down just to get ready for a fight. How does that work? I'm tearing myself down. I'm getting hurt. I'm taking punishment, punch for punch, just so I can prepare myself for the big night. So you've endured punishment with bigger gloves. So the only type of relief that you're going to get is, I don't have 14-ounce gloves on. I'm just making a general example. I don't have 14-ounce gloves on, right? I don't have headgear on. I've had a little bit of time off because, training, sparring and training camp, it stops the week before the fight week you're supposed to go in. It stops. Just because you still have a little bit of pounds to lose, the sparring is over. The sparring is over. So whatever happened during sparring, you getting your bell rung, or you even punishing somebody yourself, you getting some good rounds in, but in the process, you was hurt a couple of times. You have to take punishment. Any sport that you are close to, that you have to take punishment prior to going in there for the big dance, is wear and tear. Period. Football, some of the worst. You have to wear a helmet. You have to go in there and take hits. You have to go in there and just, go through the full gamut of basically replaying. What's the word? You have to practice and remediate certain positions in football, and all positions aren't alike, especially the guys who's playing on the line, especially the running backs who's trying to run and do drills. That's impact to your brain. So I look at Errol Spence's situation of landing on the pavement, knocking out his teeth. And, I did feel bad for him. You know what I'm saying? I did feel bad. I still feel a certain type of way about what he went through. I guess I feel that way because I was pretty intensively drawn into adrenaline type stuff in life. You know what I'm saying? I was real big into motorcycles. And like I say all the time, I used to run the streets, and the things I witnessed out there with certain individuals that was just inexperienced to be in that situation. But I also remember the ones that was intoxicated, the ones that love to drink before they get on a motorcycle. And there's something about, sitting in a car, that night that Spence was sitting, driving that car, and he ended up dozing off with the top back. You know what I'm saying? No seatbelt. And to be ejected and be intoxicated, your body is limp. Your body isn't prepared, psychologically to understand and grasp the danger, because you can't really see it. Your mind is in a state of relaxation. So when he was ejected, he hit the pavement and his body was probably limp or whatever, and he really didn't fully wake up to prepare himself. If he would have woken up ahead of time, he probably would have died. Now you're talking about bracing yourself. Now you're talking about preparing for the impact. With motorcycles, though, it's a weird thing that happened that I experienced. If you are going high speeds on a motorcycle, right? Neurologically, boxers get hit in the head and it'll affect their brains. People talk about it all the time. But in motorcycles, when you're going at a high speed on a motorcycle, and you happen to come up on a situation that for surely is going to be life or death, your mind is not able to process if you're going to survive this situation or not. So if you come up on a car, you can close down on a car from a great distance and just like a snap. You can close down 200 yards, 300 yards, easy, if you're going over 120 miles per hour, and that car is just turning out all slow in front. You can close down on easy. Due to your experience, whether you grab that front brake or you tap that rear brake, the rear brake will get you killed. The front brake will slow you down enough till you can try to figure it out. Real talk. But a lot of people are not experienced. But one thing I found out myself, when I ran into an incident and I was going high speed and I saw that vehicle, that white truck, you have blackouts. You will black out. So if you die, you never really know if you dying or not. When when you're sober, right? When your eyes are processing a dangerous situation and you say, oh, this is life or death, I'm in trouble, you will black out. You will black out. So if you have an impact with something, you never know if you're going to live or die until you wake up or whatever, until you're able to, if you're able to maintain consciousness, or if you get knocked unconscious and you're in the hospital, you might wake up in the hospital and they say, oh, it's good to see you. You've been in a coma for 3 months. I remember having that moment of thinking I'm about to run into this vehicle, right? But with Spence, him being in a state of relaxation under the influence of some type of alcohol, some type of intoxication, his body and his mind was relaxed to be ejected out the top of the vehicle onto the pavement. Now, anybody in their right mind, come on, we don't need doctors from the highest degree, medical degree, to come up here and tell you that if you hit American pavement with no protective gear and you're also catapulted, you're ejected, you're basically ejected with the force of a vehicle that's also in a state of tumbling and, you know what I'm saying, wreckage. It also has velocity to it when it's turning over. You're going to tell me somebody's going to hit the pavement and knock all their teeth out damn near, and they don't have any type of brain problems, neurological problems? I'm not here to sit up here. I mean, I'm not here to try to give you a vivid picture about what could possibly be wrong, but those of you who know this man totally understands that he's not the same person he was before. You can just tell it the way he talked. It's not because he has new teeth. It's just you can see he has a scar on the right side on the upper part of his brow. That means his head hit the ground, man. God blessed him to be able to maintain life and be around his kid, man. That's real life shit. God blessed that man to survive that accident. He blessed him. He blessed him to survive the accident. Real talk. No shit. And I have no freaking you know what I'm saying? In my heart, I have no ill will, no malice, or anything to wish otherwise. For what? I don't know him like that. I speak about him as a boxer. You know what I'm saying? His personal life spilled out into the general public, so I speak on it. So when I see that scar on the side of his head, that means his head cracked the pavement too. And you only have one skull, one brain inside that layer. You have soft tissue all over the place, man. Your brain is fatty tissue. When you saw his picture, when you saw Spence's picture and the way he looked when he did his first interview, someone's going to tell me he didn't look bloated. He didn't look like he picked up weight. When you saw his picture, him sitting there and his face looked swollen, y'all going to continue to say that it was very minimal damage that was done? He just because he talked about his teeth most of the time and looking for his mouthpiece, that's the route y'all going to take? Okay. But it all goes back to how you live. He was living that way, and the way he was living finally caught up with him, y'all. It finally caught up with him. It catches up with a lot of us. But the way he was living caught up with him to a point where the sunset, like I said earlier, has been a beautiful one. This fight that's going down July 29th, because it has forced those individuals that may not have been around for Spence to persuade him not to get behind the wheel back then and get him to do this, that, and the other. Those individuals, somebody explained to him, say, hey, you need to come out here and let them know the truth about everything that they've been talking about, because you're about to, go on an adventure to fight Terrence Crawford. And people are always going to ask you those questions, man. But if you come out here and tell your truth, then, they won't be presenting those questions to you. And Spence shouldn't be mad when people talk about something that deals with his life and what he was in and what he inflicted upon himself. He shouldn't get mad, because he's been known to go off on media about being fake and all that. I'm like, dude, you was being fake to those around you that really gave a damn about you and loved you and all that. You was being fake, because if you was telling them that you was good and you weren't, and every time you went out there to chill and be a part of the nightlife, now that's fucked up. But when he came out on this girl's podcast and told his truth, it was good. It was great, man. It was great to finally put it out there that, now we get the true story as to why you did what you did. We get the true story, man. He say, I was in the nightlife, I was doing this and that, and even in my accident, I still went back out to the club, and he laughed about it. Dude, he lives on the edge, man. I'm not saying he still is, but picking up that second title for Sean Porter, that was the final boxing match of your life that you would be considered the same man you were when you was born and grown up to that point. And that's a special time for you, Spence. You know what I'm saying? You was able to experience a lot during that moment, going to the Olympics, winning the IBF title, fighting Sean Porter as a healthy individual. That's what you was birthed. You was birthed, and that's what you was going off your physical health and everything without any type of dramatic injuries as you experienced in October. Now you have another situation that will potentially be dramatic for you. See, this situation you have control over. You was able to go in there and get the belt from your Dinas Ugas. But I want to know, are you living? Have you been living since that fight with your Dinas Ugas? Have you been living the way you're supposed to be in full health, maximize health to go in there and fight Terrence Crawford? Are you giving the people the truth? Are you giving them the truth? Or is it something else that we don't know? This Muhammad Ali quote says, impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing. So Muhammad Ali believes that impossible is nothing. When I hear you talk, Errol Spence say, I defied the odds. I defied the odds and I keep on coming. I defy the odds and I keep on coming. And it's good for you to believe that you defied the odds of survival. Yes, you did. You did. But the residual effect from those odds are still evident. They will always be there, my brother, because of the way you was living. The way you was living, you said it was a way of God, right? You don't feel no type of way about WCS. You said it was God. You put God into it now. You said God, bro. It was a way of God. That's you, bro. You mentioned God in this. You said the accident was a way of God sending a message to you. You said God, man. See, I gotta tell you, Spence, I don't believe that, bro. Because it is about how you living. Because this is the main reason when people should be talking about a 50-50 fight with you and Terrence Crawford. People are worried about how you gonna perform in there. Finally, with the one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport of boxing, and we're talking about, is he, will he hold up based off what we've seen with the Danny Garcia and your Denis Ugas fight? You and your trainer can feel some type of way all you want. All I'm doing is speaking on your choices that you made, living your life. That's all I'm saying. Living your life, brother. You put God in it. And the fact that you brought God into it and admitted that God sent you a sign, and then admitted that you still went out to the club and you were still out there partying, it's not being truthful with yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's not being truthful with yourself. You know, if you was talking about religion, a lot to do with it, why wasn't religion there before you got behind the wheel, man? Where was the religion that God blessed you to be a professional fighter? Not just the average professional, but one of the top level elite fighters. God blessed you with that. If you saying that it's all about God, or maybe you wasn't really too much of a believer in the Holy Spirit back then before you got in behind the wheel. Maybe you wasn't a believer. Maybe it took you to go through the incident and have your kids and your family and your people there, the loved ones around you, showing their unconditional love. You know what I'm saying? It can happen when you at your worst state. You know what I'm saying? You go through that shit and you're like, oh man, I love that y'all came in here and just spent all this time with me. And man, I'm never gonna be that person again. I'm a changed person, man. I'm just gonna really process, situation before I make these decisions. I'm not gonna be impulsive. I'm not gonna think I can defy the odds all the time and just go ahead and do what I want. It's other people who depend on me. I gotta stop thinking just about myself and think about others who depend on me. You know what I'm saying? Was God there for that? My brother, was God there for that though? The way you were living put you in a situation that changed the way you will forever live. It will change forever the way you live. I know it's hard to sit here and listen to it, but people who know you and listen to you have a conversation is the same people that will listen to you today and understand that there's their situation. There's something going on now. There's something going on. There's absolutely something going on. He's talking a little bit slower, this, that, and the other. I want you to make it out of this fight July 29th healthy. I don't wish no ill will upon Errol Spence in this, but he is in there for another dramatic moment. This will be a dramatic moment for you, even in boxing, because I still remember Buddy McGirt pleading with Maxim Dedashev, the Russian fighter of his, that no, he's stopping the fight. And Dedashev was still, he was resisting. He was like, no, I want to go back in there. And Matias was busy punishing this dude. You know what I'm saying? He had took a lot of punishment, the Russian fighter. And Buddy was like, no, Max, no, Max. I gotta stop the fight, Max. I gotta stop the fight. And at that point in time, the fight was stopped in the guy. One of the life-changing rules of boxing that every fighter should know is that this is one of the only sports where your head is the primary target. I'm not here to drop no proper terminology on all the angles and all the footwork and all this shit. No, that's not what I'm saying. Boxing is one of those sports where the head is the primary target. Another human being feels a sense of adrenaline when they're able to hurt another man or woman in the head when it comes to combat sport and cause them to become disorientated, lose their equilibrium, become semi-conscious or simply unconscious. Boxing primary target is the head. At this point in time, medically, we're not having individuals who are considered to be cloned. We haven't got to the point where they said, "Hey, we have the first head transplant." We we had the first head transplant. Amazing. We put this head from this guy on this 20-year-old person right here, and everything should link. We haven't been able to cross that. You know what I'm saying? Medically, we haven't been able to do that. So when I look at Spence going in here July 29th with a fighter like Crawford, who has pretty much stayed the course and did everything that I've talked about. He had a conversation with himself. He understands it's about how you live. You know what I'm saying? It's about how you live. It's not so much about how you fight, it's about how you live. Because in order for a fighter to get into the ring and continue to fight at the highest level, how have you been living prior to that fight? Spence has been on record, and what did he say? Spence said that I was able to go in there and fight Danny Garcia without being 100%. I knew I could go in there and dog walk him, so I did. And his girl gave him praise for saying that shit. But when it comes to what I got up here, but by the way he lives, now the entire easy route situation that you was picking up these titles, now you have to say to yourself, is Bud Crawford any one of my opponents that I picked up a championship? Is he Kell Brook? Is he Sean Porter? Is he Yordenis Ugas? If the answer is no, then you have to put yourself in a situation to say, this is going to be one of the most dangerous fights in my life. Not so much of the physical aspect of Crawford would delegate upon him. The fact that this man has been in an accident and he has to take in consideration, can his body, can his mind, can everything about him physically hold up to the damage that he's about to receive from a fighter who paid attention to the way he was living? Crawford paid attention to the way he was living in life. And while you was out here doing just the opposite, he was out here living a life to the point where when he get to July 29th, he can go in there and not worry about the discrepancies that you have. He didn't want to put himself in a situation of ruining what God blessed him with from birth. Now he has somewhat minor disabilities that may present themselves in one of the toughest fights of his careers. He lived his life accordingly. Like, let's be honest, boxing is not a righteous sport when it comes down to the people that compete in it. It's not. I don't have anything to do with sanctification. Now, you might have some fighters that absolutely believe in the Most High and they pray before they get in the ring and get the best results. But when it comes down to this fight right here, we have one fighter who has lived and paid attention to how he wanted to live and made sure his life continued to produce. You know what I'm saying? Allow his body to produce when he stepped in the ring. Allow him to perform at the highest level. Allow him to be as healthy as he possibly could. Allow his fitness to be where it did. Because when I hear Spence talk, we're talking about a guy who has potentially other things going on. When I hear him talking about breaking him mentally, physically, and spiritually, I would say to you that I don't believe Spence totally believe that he's capable of breaking Crawford mentally, physically, and spiritually. I think at this point in time, those three things is something that he deals with himself on a daily basis. I think Crawford doesn't he doesn't have those moments. He can't fathom answering a question as if Errol Spence is his toughest opponent. He said, well, I don't know. I have to wait till I fight him. Mentally, no one can say that was an intelligent response on how he processed the question. He processed the question because he himself believes that he is better than Spence, and he is the top fighter in boxing. He believes, and nothing that he's been through leads him to question that, oh man, I'm not that guy no more. I'm not him. I'm going through this, when I'm behind closed doors and I'm resting, I go through these things. Well, on the other hand, Spence is talking about he has PTSD. He be thinking about cars and he get close to the wall and all, but once again, how you living, he says that he was still out there in the streets. I heard a lot of God. I heard a lot of God, doing these previous presses. I heard a lot of God. And I hope God is there. But also we've seen a lot of situations don't have anything to do with God. Those same people that's in your life now was there when you made those decisions, when you should have been looking to God and say, you know what? I have so many special loved ones that I'm attached with. I know if I do this, I go out here and do what I'm about to do, it could affect them forever. And they love me unconditionally. I don't know if God was playing a role in your life back then, brother. I don't know. I really don't know. But July 29th, you have a hard fight. Both you and Crawford have a hard fight in front of you. For you to say you think, for you to believe that a man who's been out here understanding that it's how you live. But yet, when it comes to Spence didn't take that in consideration seriously. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to worry about how I'm living. I'm just going to go about the way I'm living, because the way I'm living, I have a whole lot more fun just doing it that way. The way I'm living, I'm just going to go out here and do what I got to do. I'm not going to really process how I'm living, because I look at Crawford, he look at the things he's doing. He knowing he's doing the right thing. Okay, I ain't drinking, I ain't smoking. I understand this is going to, keep my body preserved. And I go out here in these rigorous training regimes and my body's able to recover. And I'm able to be the 100% fighter that I want to be on the elite level when I go in here and split these ropes July 29th. As in Spence, damn well, Spence, you're still thinking about things that you go through when nobody's looking. And I'm not speaking on this out of no ill intent, bro. I'm just saying it's things that you go through, bro. It's things that you go through. Real talk. It's areas that you experience. You know what I'm saying? You still think about certain moments that you can't get rid of. They may be able to give you prescriptions to allow you to answer questions and to be upbeat, but you in for a hell of a fight in July, bro. You in for a hell of a fight. You're in for a hell of a fight, man. And one thing that I hope that doesn't consume your fight when you're trying to get off the rest of that weight and start to get down is that I hope you're not fighting more with those demons that you got than just fighting just to get that weight off, just to stay in focus, as y'all call it over there. You know what I'm saying? Your coach said, just focus, 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 focus. Focus is a hell of a word. It's a hell of a word, man. Focus is a hell of a word, man, because there's nothing that's attached in your body that will force you to remain focused. It's a decision that you have to make to remain focused. And we all know when you cutting weight, it's a whole lot of influences that you have to go through. There's a whole lot of slew of emotions that you have to experience to stay focused. I hope those demons are not really controlling the focus, because we want to see a good fight. The boxing fans, we want to see a good fight. Real talk. We want to see a good fight. And we don't want any type of residual effects or any collateral damage being the focal point of how people view this fight. I mean, this is one of those matchups where people are looking at both of y'all to be in your careers where y'all both are at that peak of competitiveness. Y'all are there. Y'all are there in the welterweight division. You all are there. It's no, oh man, so-and-so ain't experienced enough, this, that, and the other. Y'all are there. Both of you all are qualified to fight one another for all the championships in the welterweight division. Both of you all. Bud Crawford, Errol Spence. This was type of fight we've been waiting on for so long. Both of you all are qualified. Even though you can say what you say about his resume, both of you all are qualified to be in there and settle the score. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see how the way you live your life will affect you once this fight reached levels of intensity that's going to cause your body to break down. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know if you defy the odds. We don't know. But I can tell you this, you're going to have to go somewhere close to hell, in my opinion, to try to believe that you're going to break a man mentally, physically, and spiritually when you haven't did that with any fighter prior to him. When you talk about the level of talent, you're talking about the highest level of boxing, and all of a sudden you're saying you're going to pick the one who's living the life, like he understands what it takes of that life to maximize what God blessed him with. You're going to go in there in your situation and say, I'm going to break this man 3 different ways: spiritually, physically, and mentally. And this is the one who don't drink and smoke and haven't been behind a vehicle and not out in a nightlife just chilling when he's supposed to be in the gym. You're going to break him? Okay, we're going to see. Shout out to everyone that's in the building. Bud Crawford beats Easy Route. Spence, salute to you. What's good? We will see, Shouty. We will see. Samar Warren on deck. I see you, bro. I know he ain't. I know he's not gonna pay up, bro. He's just up here making bets for no reason. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all have to look at it that way. We're not. I'm not sitting up here bringing up, the situation, but I did want to talk about it in a way that it does. It does play a significant role heading to this fight, because we know very well that the promo, the pressers, and everything that was said, it's all cool. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's all cool. It's all good. But everybody who talks about each fighter, they have their starting points. They have their first 5 bullet points that they memorize, and they know that shit verbatim. They understand. They know. They love to throw it out there. But both of these fighters are going in there at the highest tier possible. And for a fighter to be in a situation that Errol was in, to say he believes he's going to break this man mentally, physically, and spiritually is a tall task that God has nothing to do with it. God has nothing to do with you, saying that, and then you getting on your knees and praying for it to come to fruition. He has absolutely nothing to do with it. I'm being honest. That's going to be all you there. That's going to be all you. You're going to have to go in there and prove to everybody that's watching, the millions that's watching, that you defied the odds and you're the fighter you used to be. Because look, truth be told, if this was the Spence that went and fought Porter and he didn't go through what he went through, People be like, "Oh man, it's gonna be tough, man," because he ain't been in no dramatic situation. He ain't been in no life threatening um um moment where it impact his life where he barely survived. Bruce Guys, Boxing Jazz, some more. What's good with it, OG? How you feeling? Cooking with Surf Senior, salute to you. Zone on the deck. What's good with you? Beat more on deck. If you don't like it, don't watch it. That's all. Since we on God, all you got to do, God bless you with two hands. I'm guessing that you're not handicapped. All you got to do is take your right or your left and put it over your eyes and goddamn turn around and walk away. That's all you got to do. It's simple. It's simple. It's real. It's real simple, bro. W says that is a fact. When you quiet, you can seem wise, but when you open your mouth, you can destroy that image of wisdom. That's true words right there. That's true words right there. Real talk. That's true words. The old EJ would say it was God. The new EJ would say it's God's plan. The old EJ would say you're full of shit. Damn. I'm thinking about what the old EJ could tell the new EJ. You know what I'm saying? If he come to him in a way to say, hey, what we used to do back then, you know what it was. You know what I'm saying? There was no direction, man. I was hard-headed. Right now, you have a lot more to reflect upon, man. If you're talking about family, you're talking about God and religion, be true to it. Don't just talk. You know what I'm saying? Just like Sir Senior just mentioned about destroying the image of wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Don't crack your lips open, but yet your actions, people still saying you're doing the same thing. It's all bad, bro. And people always want to say you're being judgmental. How am I being judgmental? And you have so many people on here that's actually getting personal, when it comes to Bud Crawford, who hasn't been in this situation. So he gets no reward. He gets zero plaudits for staying out of trouble. When these same people used to grow up as kids and their mentors, their uncles, their parents, whoever, their mentors, their relatives, and everybody, they used to say, hey, you stay out of trouble. Keep your nose clean. Make sure you do everything you're supposed to do. Listen to your parents. You know what I'm saying? And know right from wrong. Don't ruin yourself. They always used to give you this advice to keep you out of trouble. But yet you have adults this day and time who are extremely delusional. What other, I don't know what prescription they may be on or what type of influence they may be on, but to have adults that would praise the one who was out here taking L's, you know what I'm saying? And knowing damn well that they wouldn't allow their kids to take L's like that. They wouldn't sit up here and praise their kid for taking an L. If their kid did something and was in the same situation like that, they'd be like, oh man, I can't believe you up here talking to us like that. Well, mom, dad, I defied the odds. I'm him. I'm good. I defied the odds, man. Why y'all tripping, man? Y'all doing too much, man. Yeah, I wrecked your car, but I defied the odds. But no, you was drinking too. But I defied the odds. I'm him. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? No broken bones. I'm a savage. I mean, come on, bro. Come on, bro. This sounds like a beautiful eulogy for Errol Spence as a former 3-belt welterweight world champion in July 30th. Very good eulogy of his journey. Salute WCS, great words. And Samad say it was a eulogy. Well, it wasn't meant to be insightful, as if somebody was graduating or something. It was just meant to reflect on the old him. The old one that I was able to frame in that moment, the one that's looking directly into the camera. Yeah, that's you, Spence. You remember when I took that picture, you was looking directly at me. You know what I'm saying? You was looking directly into it couldn't get no better. And not to mention, I was zoomed in. All the way to get that picture. You know what I'm saying? And that's 4 years ago that I'm able to use that frame to speak on a situation now that you're facing the toughest fight of your life. You're facing the toughest fight in your professional career in your life. In your life, man. Shout out to Martin King Boxing in the building. What's good with it? Salute, bro. What's going on, Carlos? Appreciate you pulling up on deck. The first thought I had after they say he'd be okay was how. Because if he was ejected and he smashed into the concrete, his brain had to have been rattling around like a pea in a whistle. The one thing about high speeds, okay, he did not crash into anything. The car started to run off the road where the car, start to tumble, whatever, where he was ejected, right? If he would have crashed into something head on or something where he was able to stay in the car and his body went through the windshield or into the dashboard, that might have been extremely different. We're talking about snapping his spine. We're talking about, broken bones. We're talking about major damage, right? I'm not a doctor, but I'm just qualified to speak about it. Just based on my opinion, right? What I said about motorcycles and when you get to the point of impact, when you black out, that happened to me. The last thing I saw was the big truck right in front of me. And then all of a sudden, I don't remember nothing else. I blacked out. I blacked out, and I was laying face down on the grass or whatever on the side of the road. I started to see this light come in. I couldn't tell you what I started to see this light come in, and then it was for me being pushed because I wrecked in front of my family. Me being pushed and woke up. I woke up. I said, "Damn!" So I said, "Oh my God, man!" Last thing I saw was the truck. So when I came to, I said, "Shit, the truck, man! I probably damaged the shit out of that truck." And then my girl like, "It ain't no truck around here." I say, I didn't hit the truck." They say, "No, you didn't hit the truck." Like that truck was right there. It looked like a milk. It like a loading truck. If I would have went in the back of it, I would have lost my life. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing I remember. Grabbing the front brake, slowing down, then slowly, gradually hit the rear brake. I engaged both of my brakes, at high speeds like that. And then the bike started to slide, and then it went into a tank slapper. I couldn't, I even took my legs off to try to control it. But that's all I remember. I thought I saw the truck. It was it. You know what I'm saying? So I still remember that like it was yesterday. So I know Spence and what he remembered. I don't know. I can't say I know that because he hit the pavement. I had on a helmet. You know what I'm saying? I had on a helmet. So imagine being, close to 6'3" and you're flipping. They say you flipped 3 times in the air and landed on your face. Imagine that, being as tall, how high I had to be to flip like that and land on the pavement with a helmet on. I mean, come on, bro. That shit's crazy, bro. That man hit the pavement and his face was swelled up. And he has things he has to deal with on July 29th that's still affecting him to this day, man. Yeah, but Toby, I don't know. People that really support him, they don't want to talk. They think it's a non-topic, like it's censorship or something like that. No, it's public record, man. If Brian Custer can talk about it, why can't I talk about it? Just because we have totally two different platforms and work for, the occupation, the check is different. They ask questions. You know what I'm saying? Ariel Hawani can ask any question. Plenty of people ask questions. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with a content creator off the social media platform of YouTube asking a question? I don't know what's more dangerous, getting in the ring with Deontay Wilder or having a lift home with Errol Spence. Because he does say accidents. Oh man. Hey Toby, I'm about to sign you up for stand-up comedy, dog, I'm about to sign you up. For real. That's hilarious. I'm just not here to laugh it off. I mean, that's hilarious right there now. He said, I don't know what's more dangerous, getting in the ring with Deontay Wilder, having to lift home with Errol. I'm gonna tell you like this, bro. Getting in the ring with Deontay Wilder is you exposing yourself to a lot of people seeing when that left hand, they not only get to see the impact of his right hand. It's not only get to see the impact, but they get to see the after effects of the convulsions that you're gonna go through. And you basically defecating on yourself, pissing on yourself, shaking, convulsions, going through seizures. No, 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 no. At least with Errol Spence, you would have the option of putting on a seatbelt. That's all I'm saying. With Deontay Wilder, Henry, you ain't gonna have no seatbelt on. And when he hits you with that right hand, it's gonna be almost like being ejected out of the vehicle. And then when your body hit the canvas, you're gonna go through a whole lot of other body movements and convulsions and shock factors from that right hand. You know what I'm saying? And then your life is going to be over, man, because you chose to go in there and get hit with that right hand, and now you are sponsored by Straws or Us. You know what I'm saying? Straws or Us. Just grab you a straw, and it will fit right in there, and it's the best. I'm talking about the best with consuming liquids on a daily basis. No film, no clogging, no nothing. I'm gonna be bragging around. I'm sponsored by a straw company. Man, come on, get out of here. Bud is 35, but physically probably only 31 from the way he takes care of himself. I agree. He has preserved himself. You know what I'm saying? And I only say that come from a nutritional background. Just never really been a smoker and drinker like that. When I was young, I did drink a little bit, but I was never a drinker that had to have it. You know what I'm saying? I never was a consistent smoker at all. I'm talking about on one hand that I ever smoked marijuana in my life, man. I just never smoked. I don't crave for that shit. I don't have to. I've been around people who did it and try to pass that shit off. I said, I don't need it, man. I don't need it. But every now and then a drink, yeah, but I don't need it. I don't yearn for it. Real talk. Pablo on deck. What's good with it, Pablo? Big Blunt say the white ain't gonna pay, man. Hey, man. As loud as that nigga be whining and crying, he better have some type of alternative to pay up, bro. All that shit he talking about, all that crying he doing. God had him, he's blessed. Yes, sir. Look, DeMarco, we never saying God didn't have him. But I look at it like this when it comes to religion. Somebody who grew up in a church and was never considered myself to be a religiously like a person that has to feel guilty if I'm not attending church every Sunday, right? I understand one thing and one thing only. My faith in God has nothing to do with what you think my faith in God is. Has absolutely nothing to do with it. I don't care what you think when it comes to my faith in the Holy Spirit, based off what you think my faith is in the Holy Spirit. I'm content with me. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. That's the only direction I can go. I'm content with me. You see, when you get in church, it's other people that try to sit up here and gauge how much you actually investing in the Holy Spirit. And they try to make you feel some type of way. Oh, you're not doing enough. We didn't see you here Wednesday. We didn't see you last Sunday evening. What are you doing? Are you really? Are you going to make up the tithes that you make? Did you tithe? Did you give an offering? Did you tithe? If you didn't, you need to make that up. We got you down 10%, right? So right now you're behind at least about $3,200. You keep skipping days, and this in the last 3 to 4 weeks, you're behind $3,200. Do you wish to pay that through credit card or simply cash? And we got Cash App, Venmo, you know what I'm saying, Zelle. You tell me. Shout out to the MACKMO B-Mac on deck, man. What's good? The Mac mob in the building. One love OGW says B-Mac on deck. Yes, sir. One love to the chat. Shout to B Mac on deck, man. Appreciate you pulling up as always, brother. Good deep stuff, brother. Make you think um deep. You know what I'm saying? Hey, this is a tough fight coming up for both fighters, but I do feel it's tougher than most. I do think it's tougher. It's tougher than most that sit up here and want to just overlook what the evidence, says. I'm positive. I'm positive. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being positive. I say, okay, cool. I'm gonna be positive about it. I want to see a damn good fight. I'm going off his words. He say he's good. He's came back from longer inactivities. All that. The long inactivities was basically after the accident. It wasn't before the accident where you had these long layoff and you were still considered to be A1 healthy. I believe he's healthy because I seen him, walking there. I seen him walking there, and people was, his fans was up there marveling that he was much bigger than Terrence Crawford. But I'm saying to myself, are y'all casual boxing fans? Are y'all thinking about the scales that they have to go to on July 28th? They have to visit the scales. You're talking about size. Am I not? Is this something I'm not getting with some of these dudes? Like, they call themselves hardcore fans, but they talk about size. Oh man, he's bulky, he's big, he looked like an action figure. They both have to balance the scales July 28th. And you all are up here talking about how big and muscular a fighter is looking when he has to lose that muscle and he has to get back in shape to weigh in on the 28th of July. That's all I'm saying, bro. Ties are a ripoff. Well, look, look. I don't get into what these people are doing because we got so many mega churches down here in Atlanta. And when I say mega, they have some mega churches down here. And I can imagine, like, I think it's a no tax thing down here in the A. No taxes they have to pay or whatever. I mean, if you are a preacher and you know how to, immerse yourself in theology or whatever, I believe you should get paid. And that's what tithes are. Tithes are to pay the preacher. He himself will put it out there and say, are you giving to God? Yes, she is. When I pass this tray around for a third time, I need for you to tithe again. And I know you're low on money, but if you ask me for some money, I'll give you $1 more than you had before. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's for them. It's not so much the God in the Holy Spirit. I mean, look, where does I remember I said this when I was a child, man. And look, do y'all know they punish? I was punished for saying this, and I always held that shit in a clench, right? When I see these people that got me punished, they told on me, they snitched. I said this when I was a kid. I say, how does the pastor give money to God? Because I've never seen him. How does the pastor give the offering? That's what we said down here in the South, the offering. Tithing is what you're giving towards the offering, right? So I said, I hear this all the time, but how does the pastor gives the money to God if because I haven't never seen him? How does that transfer works? I said this as a kid, man. I say, how does he give this to God again? I never seen God. God's supposed to be a spirit. And see, people that was in the church, they told my parents on me that I was being disrespectful. I still ask the question. That's how my mind was back then. Like, how is the pastor gonna give this money to God? How does that work? Where is he? Where's God? Like, where is he? Where's God now? Why don't they just say, I need you to pass the offering tray around because I'm teaching the Holy Spirit? You know what I'm saying? I would rather you say that shit. I'm teaching the Holy Spirit in the name of. I have to get paid. I do believe the pastor should be getting paid for preaching the word. He should. He should be paid to keep the lights on. He should, bro. He said, bro, I'm a Christian, but a lot of these churches try to, if you don't give them tithes, that's why I don't go to church. That shouldn't be the reason why you don't go to church, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I never tithe when I go to church. Never. I never tithe, man, because the church that I go to is an old church that I grew up with, and I'm just never going to give them anything. You know what I'm saying? I have to pray to God to make sure me and mine is taken care of. For me, in order for me to serve a God, I have to pay to serve a God. No, I do not. No, I do not. That's the one thing about it. Who said we had to pay? Who said we had to pay? I don't remember that. You got to pay to serve for God to bring you blessings. How do you even know God bringing you blessings? If you have 2 to 3 straight months of goddamn bad luck, and all of a sudden you've been praying during that month, and then you say, oh man, during that whole 3-month span, I was praying, but nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, you're living with full anxiety. You get somewhere close to your prayer being answered. So you're going to sit up here and say, oh, man, God did that for me because I dropped a quarter in the dang offering tray, man. I put a quarter in the offering. That's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. You don't have to pay for blessings. Spiritually, you ask for forgiveness for your sins. And you thank the Holy Spirit, and you just ask that he continue to bless you and lead you in the right direction in life. That's all. We don't have to pay. How does God even know what money is? Did they have money back then? Man, don't get me started, man. They weren't walking up to the local bodega. Hey, God, what you want? Ask Jesus. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We're going to hit to the bodega and get us a euro with that, that Greek euro. Oh, delicious, man. We're going to get a full-blown, glizzy and everything else. No, that's not the way it worked back then. Reverend James need some ham hocks and neck bones and black eyed peas this evening. Food Rev. Best friends for real, dog. It's tough, bro. This fight right here is gonna be tough, man. Days are ticking. I think we're at 32 days right now, just outside of a month. It's just gonna be tough, bro. It's gonna be tough. Real talk. Yeah, for real. Send it via PayPal, right? You know what I'm saying? And look, Tyrese, they say, hey, and I believe that the information's been given, but just in case you missed it, I'll be giving a sermon. This will be live via YouTube. And for those of you that want to remain anonymous, what you can do is go to the pastor's YouTube channel. And if you want to drop a super chat in there, it will work out the same, and God is going to bless you. Drop a super chat. And yes, indeed, I like the colors. I like the red. I like the yellow. And yes, indeed. The pastor be going off. You know what I'm saying? And not just a super check. I'll take a super sticker. They all pay the same. I like the colors. I like the way they look. Please increase the numbers. Man, I'm telling you, pastor, tell you, I'm going live on YouTube. If you're not willing to tithe in here, you can goddamn send me a super chat. But let's be clear, all that money don't go to me. You too. And they can be this, they can be that. Taking 30 off the stack and just send it to me right now. Shit. That pastor be knowing how to get that money. I give only when I feel I've received a motivation and something said. I agree with that. I agree with that. He said, pray pal. Pray pal. Damn. Shit. Man, what you talking about? Let me see something right quick. Let me check something out right quick, man. Let me see. I'm gonna check something out right quick. Let's see. It was one point in time, right? I'll say, man, it must be tough being a pastor. You always gotta, when you want to indulge in temptation, you just can't loosely do it, because as a pastor, you have people that's considered to be a cowed congregation, followers, parishioners. You know what I'm saying? They're loyal. They're keeping the lights on in the church and in your home. So like down here in the ATL, man, you hear these pastors, dude. You hear these pastors, man, they be getting involved. And these women know, they act like they're gonna be the next first lady. And these women go up here and get pregnant, man. And listen, the pastor, they back in the day, they asked the pastor to step down if they was calling that. No, that's not the case no more. But man, y'all been great, man. Appreciate y'all for pulling up. I definitely got to shut this live down, man. I don't want to get into other topics, but I really want to just talk about that quote that Bernie said. I don't know if that's his exact quote, but it basically, I said, man, it gave me the urge to do a live stream based off what I try to speak on when it comes to Spence Crawford, and how so many people has drum up hate for Crawford, and he hasn't even been in this type of situation. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't even been in this type of situation. So, and then you can't help but feel like, yeah, it makes you a little bit upset that Spence feel angered at Crawford to not respect what he's been able to accomplish. But look, it's the way you live. It's a lot of people that's gonna be upset on what you've done to have people doubting that you can go in here and beat Crawford, not just based off your overall skill set, but based off how you was living outside the ring. Until next time, people, y'all hold it down.